when we look at the rework. So we are still figuring out some mechanics and counterplay there, and it will be the interesting question if we reach set number 4, who did a little bit of better homework and preparation. Angels coming out for Team Cynic, playing a perk build again that we have seen before in Season X. The Hex Ruin with the protection of Thrill of the Hunt. Very interesting, paired with Grim and Corrupt Intervention. Corrupt Intervention makes a lot of sense since we are on the ARP, where we usually have a lot of 3 and 4 gen possibilities on one side or the other. But here we are getting a little bit blessed even with a 4 gen at the bottom side. We are also chasing over here, so this might be the area to control later on during the match.
Very well said, Dyer. You know, when you have a good 3 gen, that's very, very important to protect it. But when you've got a good 4 gen, that's even better. And Angels has got to be happy about seeing that. So if he can control that, this is going to look very, very good for Team Cynic. But that being said, a little bit of a fun fact for you. Laurie Strode is a new feature in Season X, and that is incredible to see. More survivors are being added, more survivors being played. So the more that we see, the more variety we see in our different survivors going into further seasons. That being said, Hardwell takes the first down of the set, and it looks like we've got some pretty good gen pressure already out through the match, with Swatter and Magic both getting some really good gen pressure, about 90%. Swatter might be coming around for the save here. But yes, it looks like our Grim Embrace just kicked in with our first stack. No gens popped yet, so that's a little bit of extra pressure on the survivors to get generators done quicker if they are able to. But that being said, we're hoping to see maybe a potential Swatter coming in for the save.
Hopefully, yeah, a little bit of help would be needed. Otherwise, we might see that the Survivor team opts to stay with the generators, especially on the bottom side. You now have the chance to break the 3 gen, and then when that is achieved, you can tell your survivors, let's run shack side. We often even see the strategy on Azeroth's resting place that a survivor is coming to assist, taking a body block, and then both of these survivors are moving towards the safe shack side, and then the 3 gen on main is being taken care of. Swatter here has taken the crows, but not an injury because the focus stays on Hardwell. Swatter will stay around to grant some assistance here. We'll see how many times we can circle around the fun bus. Now Swatter coming in, taking that injury, making sure that the team member can get a little bit of distance, prolonging the down. We're trying to circle once more here. Artist trying to set up the crows. It is going to be a very, very important chase that we have here on the top side. And it looks like Survivors absolutely doing a fantastic job. The teamwork pays out. We're dragging the killer back towards the bottom side. Yeah, that's going to interrupt some Survivors over here, but I do think Ariandel can totally live with that, especially knowing that the down is being delayed by a good chunk here. The tunnel out, absolutely not happening. Angels wanted that down probably a minute ago, and the Survivors just keep running and running. Next shot fired and onto Hardwell here, and finally we are getting that down. But Rob, we have traveled the entire Azeroth's resting place after circling a few times around the fun bus. This took way longer than Cynic expected.
If you're Angels right now, you're probably not super happy about that. But tunnel out is being progressed. That being said, at 2 generators remaining, you know, Dyer, earlier when that unhook came in with Swatter getting the unhook onto Hardwell, there was a potentially very dangerous situation with the Severed Hands add-on coming in from the Artist. Now, that add-on makes it so that any survivors that are near you will also take Dire Crows if a survivor who has Dire Crows comes near you. And that was a little bit alarming to me, but there was no value to be had. But the moment that I saw that happen, I was a little bit worried that maybe something was going to happen there, but not quite. That being said, Hardwell is on the hook for the second stage. That's the second hook of the match. Not super promising right now for Team Cynic on Killer. They're going to have to do even better on Survivor, but that's easier said than done. There's some more generator progress around the map, with Swatter getting a gen about 75% and Bubbo getting a gen about 20%. So things are looking very, very good for Team Ariandel, and hopefully maybe a turnaround for Team Cynic in this Artist set.
Swatter cranking the generator. Will it be a second shot in time? That's the question here. Swatter with the nerves of steel, just prioritizing the generator. Very understandable though, even an injury would have been okay in order to get this generator done. And look at that beautiful gen progress we have in the distance. Babbo on 60% and the Survivor team not even getting too greedy. In case something is going wrong, in case we have an unexpectedly fast down, we have a backup generator prepared with a quarter of progress. So I absolutely love to see that. We sometimes see Survivor teams that are getting a little bit nervous and then overcommitting to one generator, and then things can fall apart if the killer is taking care of it. So absolutely love to see that they are having a backup plan here, and we are smacking the pallet, but Babbo has already gone to the next tile, and now the famous comp corner is getting praised here. Wonderful play that's going to add some very good and golden seconds to the Survivors team. They will probably be able to finish that final generator. Not sure if Grim can kick in one more time. We're gonna check in a second, but yeah, okay, no, it was not enough time, not even with an alternative gen and not even with a potential double up. So we need a little bit longer. Not too bad. Once again, we are on the opposite side with our generator. So if Angels travels all the way down there, we can just get the unhook for free. If he fires a few shots, we will be prepared, already leaving the generator a little bit early in order to not take the snipe at all. I love the mix of aggressive and careful playstyle that we see here at the moment, and I also love the gen efficiency. Now though, Rob, the end game gonna be a bit more tricky because the doors are both up here with our hooked Survivor.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Dyer. With a Survivor hooked, you know, kind of in the middle of the map here, maybe kind of on the side, and both the gates are pretty far distance away from the gates. It's not going to be easy to make that happen. They're going to have to pressure the save so that they don't die on hook there. But either way, looks like we got another fresh hook coming in onto Swatter here. All generators are done, so that is looking very good for Team Ariandel here. And with all survivors injured, this could be potentially difficult to make any outs happen. LeMagic's got a lot of crows on him. I think he's been AFK for quite some time now. But joking. No, that looks like a spectator bug potentially, but I thought it was pretty funny. And yeah, we're moving on. Getting the door open. Bubbo, nice dodge. Oh, the second crow comes in. That was nice to see a little bit of a shotgun attack coming in from the Artist here. Angels definitely knew to stagger the crows a little bit so that one comes in and they thought that it was over, but a second crow was on its way, Dyer. That was some very smart thinking.
You just need to make sure now that the end game is not turning into a nightmare, right? Because we have played super well during the trial. We have kept the killer on essentially 4 stages throughout the mid game. Swatter is definitely an unfortunate hook here since he is the fresh hook, but you might just want to hand out these 2 stages and get out of the trial. But LeMagic being around here, can he deliver some magic? That's the question here. We're trying to move over here. The pallet will be in reach, but the crow mind game going to go in favor of Angels. So going down here, that's going to be another very nice hook for our killer. That's a new fresh hook. That's a new potential addition of 3 hook stages. Our survivors need to find a good game plan now. Are they going to just take the outs here? Of course, that would hurt. 3 entire, yeah, they are actually going to add these 3 stages. Not the optimal result. I think they're gonna be a little bit being a little bit grumpy about it. 9 stages after having 4 during the mid game is definitely not the best, but I think we need to keep in mind that they had a very unfortunate RNG in the end game. They had the survivor hooked on the top side, they had the 2 exit gates up there, so it is difficult to take care of all the things that you need to set up there.
Very well said, Dyer. I do think that if you are Team Ariandel,
yeah, we are in the correct map with all the players. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Rob, instantly noticeable. We don't have a Grim. We don't have a Thrill of the Hunt. Ruin stays. But Agitation coming in as a new perk. I love that, and I feel like it perfectly suits the ARP map layout.
Absolutely. With Agitation, you can almost always guarantee a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance stack, which is always nice to see when you have Agitation and Pain Resonance together. That, I'm not sure how much of a good play that was there, getting rid of the crows in the lockers, but it did get rid of them, but that did force an M1 hit quite early on. The Shack Pallet is out of the game. We just started the match, but that is how competitive DBD goes. Oh! Angel's taking the down! Oh, that is not good for Cynic. Oh, that first down was 51 seconds in compared to last match. I believe it was 1 minute and 26 seconds. The basement being a more favorable hook location than Scourge Hook Pain Resonance for obvious reasons, but if you need to have them explained, that is because the basement is a very difficult place to stay from, especially with any killer that can use ranged attacks or with insta-down attacks, that being like Artist, for instance, who we are watching play this set currently. That being said, this is a very difficult situation already into this match with no generators done and Angels already on hook. I feel for Team Cynic right now, Dyer.
Yeah, when you ask me what is the strategy for the upcoming trial, we agreed that the early game is going to be very important for iPick in order to make some dominant impression and getting ahead. And we talked about how the Survivor team in best case counters that with a 2 to 2 minute 30 first down. Now we are below the 1 minute mark. Not only that, you pointed it out, straight to the basement, pretty tricky location. On ARP, I don't think iPick is worrying at all about the generators at the top side at the moment. You have a 3-gen next to the shack, 1 generator even in the shack that you can defend, so you will be able to sit on the survivor basically that is currently hooked. You progress now into the second stage. You might even be able to force the elimination, and while you're doing that, you can now do exactly what was a little bit different to the previous trial. You can try to snipe these survivors. You can constantly put them under pressure, and even if they only jump away from the generator for 5 seconds and Ruin is only doing something for 1 or 2% of progress, it does waste a little bit of time from the survivors each time they have to jump away from the gens. Right here with Nini, right here with Vancy now as well. So if Angels dies here, you're still on 2 generators at least. You have your 3-gen on the bottom side, and you can just then aim for the 4K that you really want to achieve. So I think iPick is absolutely vibing at the moment, and we will see him defending the basement until the very end here.
Very well said, Dyer. With the Artist here firing crows into the distance, mind you, they get them back pretty decently quickly, so they're able to send Dire crows out to these generators and make, oh, nice whiff, by the way, with Hattie using the sprint burst, that being Nini on Hattie, our 26th newest survivor into the Season X. But yes, when the Artist fires crows out to the generators, they get them back pretty fairly quickly. So that's, you know, that stacks up over time, and that prevents the generator from popping quite a bit quicker than normal. Nice hit out into the distance on Wancy. You know, Dyer, you said you wanted to see some nice snipes, and I think iPick might have actually heard you, you know? I don't think he's in the VC with us right now, but it's starting to feel like maybe he is.
Yeah, he's playing a very different strategy compared to the previous trial. We've seen Angels firing the crows more directly towards the generators that he wanted to defend, right? In order to see, you can use them either as a scouting tool. If they hit, you know, okay, someone is working on the generator over there. if they even then hit a survivor into injury, you are taking a great advantage. The problem is, if the team communicates perfectly and they're announcing he's sniping this in this generator, the survivors can leave it and they are into safety. And this is what we have seen the previous trial. When we pay close attention to how iPick is firing these crows, we have seen him sometimes firing 3 crows to the same generator, aiming a little bit left and right as well. Here, you see it perfectly right now. He's not only aiming to the generator he wants to defend, he's aiming left and right. So if the survivor is now running away, they are still getting the attack from the crow. And that has forced significantly more pressure than in the previous trial. He constantly gets these snipes, and even if they don't hit, even if they don't cause an injury, you still have to get rid of them. You have to run to a locker real quick. It's always 2, 3, 4 seconds. And if they are adding up too often, that is some serious time gain that you have on the killer side. Lusty here, however, close to completing the gen. Here it might make the very needy... straight back again. See, he wastes 6 seconds for the crows. He takes them straight again. He cannot do the generator. Beautiful.
No, we cannot do the generator at all, Dyer. This is stacking up, preventing generators from being completed. The artist had some excellent slowdown in her kit, straight without any add-ons or perks or nothing. Just having to remove dire crows or even just dodge the crows in general. This is stacking up and preventing generators from popping. This is a brilliant move from iPick here on the artist. And going into our next chase here, it looks like Nini is going to notice that dire crow at the pallet and opt to go away from it so that she doesn't take a hit straight on, but nice. That is a hit coming through still onto Nini. Still getting the injured for iPick there, so it's still all working out for sure for iPick. As of right now, it looks like. But we do get one more generator done for Team Cynic here. But man, this slowdown is looking absolutely brutal, Dyer. This is looking very difficult for Team Cynic to handle at the moment, with iPick being able to defend this generator right here with a decent amount of progress, and the other 2 generators not being too far away. But even then, you're the artist. You can send crows and slow them down. You can go defend these generators from far away. It doesn't really matter all too much, and iPick is showing that almost flawlessly, Dyer.
Really love to see what iPick is putting on the table here, but we shouldn't underestimate Cynic's recovery plays. They have shown that many times in the past, how they can turn very difficult circumstances into a good result. Wancy going down here on the top side, but Lusty on a 75% generator. Angels is dead, but Nini is now jumping on the generator as well. Is that going to be the time to get back towards the survivors here? Keep in mind, everyone, we had 9 stages on 4 in the previous trial. If we would now get only Lusty or only Nini, that would be 9 stages on 3, which is not enough to take the win. 9 stages on 4 survivors is worth more, so we cannot have an out. But for justice, we do have the same bad doors than we had in the previous trial. But I think Cynic has a realistic chance of pulling this.
They absolutely do, Dyer. That is a bit of a tough win condition to meet in these specific circumstances. If iPick had a little bit more time, this might look a lot more doable. But with all 5 generators being completed and the exit gates already being started, this is looking a bit difficult. The exit gates open. Oh man, this might be Cynic taking the win here.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Lusty getting out was that win for Team Cynic. Absolutely well played. The recovery was insane to watch. iPick looked like he had this on lockdown.
Wow.
But Cynic, like you said, Dyer, took that back right from iPick's hands. That was insane.
I was really having a feeling something wild could happen here, and it actually did. Very, very well done to Team Cynic.
Welcome back, everybody, to trial number 3 with the Doctor. Bubbo coming in with the first set on Killer here, finding only Wancy with the static shock here, but finding another survivor over here, dropping the pallet immediately. Better to loop it with the pallet pre-drop, and finding the chase onto Angels wearing the Bill survivor here. Very nice to see a Bill in competitive DBD. He's very loud, so Angels must be feeling pretty confident after that last set win on Artist. That being said, we're finding ourselves over here on a trash filler, or a dumpster filler rather. And another pallet comes down. This is a very interesting build, Dyer. I don't typically see Scourge Hook Gift of Pain very often on these in competitive DBD, so this is really interesting to see. That being said, Bubbo is going around kicking a lot of things, pallets and generators here. Corrupt Intervention is still blocking generators for a good chunk of time and being able to hopefully put some more pressure out because there's no injuries on the board yet, Dyer.
Yeah, you're right. I'm back. I was hunting a mosquito real quick. What did I? They wanted to attack me. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Wancy in the next chase. Nice fast forward there into the stun of the pallet. Get that to Bubbo. He can also join me if he wants to and drop a pallet onto that mosquito that I just tried to successfully hunt, by the way. I got it out of the way. So we are all set for this trial here. It is definitely going to be all eyes on Ariandel now. They want to make sure that the second set point does not slip. So Bubbo has the responsibility and the chance to set a pretty nice condition for this survivor team in the previous trial. And Wancy taking the injury here, but has a little bit of resource ahead. Will we make it there in time is the question. We are rotating actually. That's going to be Angels coming in, taking the hit. He has to pay the bill for that, taking the injury, and that is generator number 1 coming out in the distance. Angels running a difficult tile here. The TNL is not where you feel like the safest, but by just holding W, because the Doctor needs to shock very often because of all these windows, you do actually waste a lot of time by just circling the TNL. Look how often Bubbo has to shock in order to remove the ability to vault the window there. So Angels might not be in the safest spot, but he wasted an impressive amount of time.
A lot of time indeed, Dyer. We were at 3 generators left in the trial, and that's the very first down of the match. Coming in at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Another static shock goes out, and no one's found, Dyer. That's not really what you want to see playing as the Doctor. The Doctor has a large terror radius and is able to use static shock to find survivors in his terror radius and increase everyone's madness level by 1 inside of that static shock. But finding nobody, that's got to be a little bit rough to see if you're Bubbo right now. But either way, another chase is coming in onto Lusty here, finding himself just now leaving Shack and heading in towards the map, towards main building. Another injury does come through, but man, this is not looking too great for Bubbo here. But the Doctor is typically one of the weaker killers in the roster of available killers to play in competitive DBD. That being said, we're finding ourselves onto a much weaker palette and taking it down. Lusty trying to head to comp corner, not quite making it, but still wasting a significant amount of time for Bubbo here. So, and another generator comes out. That's not looking. Another one's about to be done, Dyer. This is looking very, very difficult for Bubbo.
Not the game on the killer side you're looking forward to after you just very unfortunately dropped that set point towards Cynic. You were trying to get a little bit more so far, but there's still the chance. We still have a generator here. They are pretty close together, at least these two generators right next to the shack here. That is definitely something that you can defend. Unfortunately, though, the third generator doesn't really want to get in line with that logic and is sitting on the other side of the red shop here, holding W into Vancy coming in. These body blocks are looking very, very strong. Little sidekick to our staff member we won. Maybe he wants to take a tutorial in body blocking from the Cynic survivors. Greetings to everyone. Little bit of banter here. Nice down onto Angels. That's going to be the next hook stage coming in, but that is also working perfectly in the favor of Cynic, if you're asking me, because Vancy would have been a fresh hook. Here, you just go for the second stage on a survivor that was already hooked. So the gain that Babbo takes is way lower, but under the condition that we get the final generator out of the way.
Absolutely, Dyer. I feel like Angels wanted to get the pallet down and stun Bubble here to save his teammate from taking it down because of the shock that came in from Bubbo, preventing you from vaulting any windows or dropping any pallets. But I feel like that didn't work out quite too well, but that also still does work in Cynic's favor because that is still the prevention of a tunnel out coming in. One generator remains, Dyer. That's you can't be too happy right now if you're Bubbo. But again, these Doctor sets, they're typically a little bit more slow paced than a lot of the other sets, and Team Ariandel needs to come into the next match with some serious focus and strategy coming into this, because this is a win condition that just needs to be surpassed. But either way, Cynic is absolutely killing it. They are on fire right now. Team Ariandel needs to respond to this with equal pressure and then some.
Yeah, it will be very difficult to deal with that, right? Cynic has presented us a trial that was really great when we look at the generator efficiency. I'm not even sure if I would agree with them going back into the game here. Of course, they played a good trial. Yeah, they could attempt going for the rescue here. But on the other hand, we will talk about, I believe, something that, yeah, 6 stages on 3 survivors. That is definitely something you can be very happy with. And you shouldn't risk turning this into the 4th fresh hook being thrown on the hook or additional stages being taken here. But we do see them actually going back into the trial regardless of the distance that we have towards the exit gate. It's not like the hook is directly next to... Was that a 360? Was that a 360 that we just did there? How was that not a hit? Yeah, they 360 Bubble on the spot so he couldn't get the injury. Yeah, hello, Cynic. What is happening now? Then don't mind me, because now they should make it out of the door with that little bit of extra advantage that they have here. Angels, unfortunately, going down onto the floor, but that's the survivor that was already hooked twice. So if Angel stays in, they still got basically 1 additional stage out of the door. Would be the perfect trade here, but we have Nini and Vancy injured and forced back into the trial. Rob, this is what I was worried about. It can go wrong if you're getting a bit too greedy in the end game. Let's hope that is not the case here.
Absolutely not, Dyer. If you are Team Cynic, you've got to be feeling great right now, but you cannot take this too much. Oh no, the check spots! The check spots did not work out too well for Nini. Reacted just a little bit too slowly.
That is the fresh hook.
Oh, that's not good. Dyer, if you're Team Cynic right now, you need to be moving towards the exit gate. You should have had Nini ready to go out the door. This is not what you need right now. A fresh hook on Nini. This is likely going to be a huge upset in Team Cynic's current progress into getting the win on this matchup. They were doing phenomenally in their first set, and they were doing great up until this moment that they let Nini get on the hook. They really need to rescue Nini here. They cannot let this get camped out. That's 3 whole stages coming out. They need to rescue Nini. That's the only option.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is happening quite often. Sometimes the teams get a little bit ahead of themselves when they played a good trial. Even if they take all the outs now, they were then hooked on all 4 individual survivors, which definitely makes the win condition a little bit weaker. It should be 1 survivor staying in the trial. Actually, no, they might make the hatch. Do they?
Wow!
They do? Okay, what a roller coaster end game here. It will be 4 individual survivors, but it will only be 5 stages. So they somewhat made it a better result in all this chaos, in all these 360s, in all this gen efficiency. Great finish. The question here, Angels coming out for that. Let's see if we can have a great killer performance. We need 6 stages. It doesn't matter on how many survivors, then we have the win here. Basically 2 kills, if you want to speak in equivalence here. So let's see when Angels gets the first down, because that will be a crucial factor for the calculation here. Angels finds Lori, that is Babbo, who just played the Doctor, and he certainly looks forward to take a little bit of revenge here, but does unfortunately run directly into the killer. It's really not Ariandel's day today.
Very well said, Dyer. I do not think it is. That being said, I wanted to point out something that I've noticed that's a little bit peculiar. Oftentimes when we switch up the sets, the person playing the killer usually runs into the person who just played killer in the last matchup almost flawlessly every single time. Bubbo being the last one who just played Doctor on the previous set. This is quite the peculiar thing to notice, honestly. I'd like to ask if Toby has any records of that, but that seems like a very difficult stat to keep track of. But that being said, Bubbo is definitely keeping alive a little bit longer now, hopefully making it to another pallet, because Team Ariandel does need to respond to the pressure that Cynic is putting on them and needs to make something happen. The first generator does come out, and Bubbo is finding himself at another tile on the edge of the map here. It looks like running around the car a little bit, or truck if you're that specific, but will he make it to this pallet? He does make it to the pallet and drops it before the shock actually prevents him from doing so, making it to main building, or the side of rather. Another truck pallet here, it looks like, is going to be passed up and making it right back to the pallet that he started at, actually. So Bubbo doing a fantastic job in chase. If he can stay alive longer, and oh no, right through the pallet! Dyer, I've got to say, that was a fantastic first chase coming in from Bubbo, staying alive long enough for 2 different generators to get completed. That down came in at 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So if you're Team Ariandel, you gotta be feeling, yeah.
That just cannot happen. When in this match, and I'm furious right now, Angels, listen! When in this match, where you are trying to be dominant and take the 2-0, when the survivors are handing out the gift of running into you after 30 seconds for a free injury, then it cannot be a thing that you are then afterwards getting run for 2 minutes. That is just not possible. Then you need to drop that survivor and interrupt some generators. This was literally a gift that Ariandel handed over to Angels, who's playing the killer, and not using that and having it down after 2 minutes and 12 seconds is just not something that you can allow in Season 10, not when Ariandel is your opponent, and not when you're trying to seal the deal here. Look at that. 3 generators are now completed because Babbo chased like a god here in the early game. What a recovery from Team Ariandel. Babbo getting the MVP sticker attached on the forehead for that play. 4th generator even coming out here. You can really let Babbo go into second stage. You don't have to worry right now at all. That is difficult. And if Cynic is losing this, then sorry, but then this is up to Angels and this early game here. And then he has to take the responsibility.
Very much so, Dyer. This is not something you want to see as Team Cynic, but I have to mention it. I know that it's obvious. I know that it is, but you cannot underestimate your opponent, especially if it is Team Ariandel. and especially if it is not Team Cynic. Both of these teams need to make sure not to underestimate their opponents, because they have both clearly shown that they are not here to mess around. You cannot mess around with your team, with your opponents when this kind of a match is in progress right now, Dyer. Now, that being said, Angels is a bit in a worrying position for Team Cynic here, but if Angels can secure another 4 stages, things are looking pretty good. There's 1 generator left, but Angels has to do it. Otherwise, all of that confidence, all of that, absolute charisma, all of that, everything going into this first set and into this set is going to be lost, and they have to continue applying this this amount of pressure. Otherwise, it's all going to be lost, Dyer. That being said, Team Ariandel is absolutely playing their hearts out right now. Bubbo finding himself at another tile, dropping a firecracker, hoping, no, Bubbo! Oh! That's going to be the death on the Bubbo. Hopefully, if you're Team Ariandel, you have another generator that is close to being finished. And there it is. Last generator is completed. If Angels is able to get another down, Cynic is looking good, and Ariandel is looking like they're in trouble. If Angels gets another down, this is going to be the win, likely, unless Ariandel can save and all get out just like Cynic did.
Yeah, we need a down, and we need the down very, very fast. Here, he found the reset. That is very important right now. You need to focus Excise. Swatter will 100% take a hit here, and Hardwell will move over as soon as the exit gate is prepared. So potentially we need to prepare for 2 hits that are coming in order to protect Excise. Here the survivors are not opening the door, which is very smart, because otherwise the killer would be able to just pinpoint them here next to the tile and wait for the endgame collapse, which would also count as normal hook stages and normal sacrifice. Very well done. Hardwell preparing the exit, coming in as a help, and they are all moving out of the door. Just a photo finish like in the previous trial. This time it's going to be Ariandel being the winner, and ladies and gentlemen, that is due to Bubbo. He can take the credit for it. He has, made a mistake in the early game by running into the killer, but he has absolutely compensated for that mistake with an insane early game run, with an insane recovery, supported by the survivor team that played on point.
Absolutely incredible to see. Yes, with Osaka on Blight, though, when I said never mind just Osaka on Blight, when you consider Osaka on Blight, you have to be even more careful, because Osaka is a legend on the Blight. You hear his name and you know that absolute chaos is coming into your trial, and that chaos is named Osaka. That being said, Hardwell, Swatter, Excise, and Le Magic are no joke to play against as survivors. So what's going to happen here in this match, Dyer, I think is going to be an absolute delight to see. What an incredible already first injure onto Hardwell in this match. That was not a flick I was expecting to see, but it paid off so well. Great job to Osaka with that already coming into this match. That was wonderful.
And we are struggling a little bit here on the main building side. Struggling to get this survivor down. Hardwell is doing an extremely good job here. Run of the century, and in the middle of corrupt intervention. Good counter here now by our killer. That down was really needed, but the survivor team will feel good. They had a great early chase. They had enough time to get on the generators at the bottom. 115, definitely one of the stronger first chases here.
Absolutely, Dyer. Yes, and also a correction to what I said earlier. The fastest down of Season X is actually 25 seconds with Dino on the Ghoul. So 31 seconds is very close to 25 seconds. And that just gives you a showcase of how impactful of a play that Osaka can make on the Blight, because the Blight doesn't usually post times that fast. He is fast. He does get downs very fast, but in the sub minute, it's not super often. Decisive Strike being used pretty early on. One generator does pop the V1 tech. Oh my god! Oh, I love seeing these incredible plays coming in from Osaka's Blight, and a lot of these different killers as well. When you see a very good play on the killer they are playing, I just get giddy, Dyer. That was wonderful to see. I think that might have been one of the best V1 tags I've seen in quite a while. That was just like perfect. All right, let's see. It looks like we do have some good generator progress coming in. One generator did pop, but there are others that are getting close around the map. Osaka wanting to make sure that this death goes onto Hardwell, unless the survivors of Team Ariandel have anything to say about it. This is a bit of a pickle for the survivors of Team Ariandel to be in, but as they've shown, they can make comebacks with no problem whatsoever. They are coordinated, they are communicative, and they make things happen. So this is just another Saturday to them.
Yeah, that is a very important point, right? We remember set number 1, ladies and gentlemen, where they can make a good comeback on both sides after we have seen this. Hardwell is going to die very soon. Never mind. I was just asking, is someone going to take care of the unhook? The answer is yes. And now what we see here is absolutely important. We need to sprint towards the bottom side, towards the shack as quick as possible here. And we need to make sure that on the same moment, survivors are now taking care of the top side generator. There we still have the difficult gen setup. We see one survivor has already done that. Hardwell going to be eliminated. Osaka staying with the slugs, so we can feel the pressure rising a little bit. He needs to make sure that these 3 generators stay under control. We do have a little bit of progress up here, but it's not something you need to worry about. So Osaka just making sure that he can take the hook stage, wants to make sure that these generators are not touched. Yeah, this is just a few percentages that we need to take care about. Looks good for Osaka. 1 survivor eliminated and 3 gens still under control is basically the best you can achieve on the suffocation pit during the mid game.
Absolutely. We see 2 survivors from Team Ariandel stacking a generator, getting it done on the top, on the bottom side of the map, it looks like. But yes, pop goes the Weasel and Eruption. A dirty combination for getting these generators down to 0% progress again, because Osaka is just in the area making sure to hold down this 3 gen over here on the top side of the map. You can see the 3 generators in yellow, almost as if he's highlighted those 3 specific gens just for us. Osaka is definitely going to want to pressure the map a little bit, because the survivors haven't quite made their way to that 3 gen to break it just yet. They're all kind of at the bottleneck area, trying to break their way in and get into this side of the map to start working these gens and pressure Osaka more. That being said, Osaka is still looking around for people, breaking some pallets around the map and trying to find somebody to get a very quick chase on, as I would suspect that Osaka hopes for. That being said, not really finding anyone at the moment, but still going to continue looking around. You don't want to... Oh, and the sprint burst on Swatter coming out, forcing that nice little exchange to happen there. But the Firecracker not doing a whole lot to prevent Osaka from getting the hit. But it looks like this is going to be the down potentially here, unless, of course, Swatter just kind of breaks gravity and does what he wants, because that was definitely something I wasn't expecting to happen there. Yes, getting the slug onto Swatter and going back into the map to go see what is going on with these other generators, because there has to be something happening when someone is in chase, when someone is distracting the killer on a different portion of the map. Someone needs to be working a generator, otherwise you are not making any progress towards your win condition. You need to be doing something if the killer is distracted, especially if it is the Blight, and especially if it is Osaka on the Blight. Dire, if I am Team Ariandel, I'm hoping to get onto this side of the map and work on these generators, because if that generator out in the distance in the middle portion of the map gets completed, these 3 gens are all that are left. Unfortunately, Swatter takes the down at the Z wall, but that's more time wasted. And as you can see, LaMagic is working this gen off in the distance over here. But anyways, you're hoping to get to this side of the map, to the top side, and work on these generators, because if you 3-gen yourself against a Blight or any killer in general, things can't be looking too good for you.
Yeah, we are at one of these moments during suffocation pit trials against S-tier killers where you are getting a little bit worried about these survivors, right? Especially when we are looking towards the win condition 1, which is the number of completed generators. Osaka sitting on a 4-gen, so if he plays this absolutely perfectly, he's even going to be able to shut it down right here with a 4K. And that means that the Cynic survivors can ignore a 3-gen in the upcoming trial. And that would be pretty huge. You 100% have to avoid this advantage to hand out. So we need to see at absolute minimum the 4th generator in order to make sure that Cynic cannot ignore a 3-gen. In best case, we are getting all the generators done. If we want to win the lottery afterwards, we're going to take some outs here. But it's all going to be the question, how is Osaka playing this? And I do think, realistically, we do need a little bit of a mistake from Osaka coming out. We either need some overcommitment to a chase, so he's being dragged away from the generators for too long, or we need the survivors dying once again inside of the 4-gen, which can happen when you are getting unexpectedly hit. They do double up in the distance. We see how important it is to get that 4th generator out of the way. They jump on it with a double up, but Osaka sniffs that out, doesn't allow it, goes for the slug here. So X-Eyes now probably rotating, picking up LaMagic in the distance. But Rob, we are on edge. The survivor team is about to get 4K'd.
Yes, things are not looking too good for Team Ariandel right now. LaMagic not getting the blind at the pallet there. With 2 survivors slugged, LaMagic just now getting picked up, and Swatter going on to a hill hook. Things are not looking too good for Team Ariandel right now. This might not even go down to 1 generator left, which is what I would imagine Team Ariandel is fighting with their lives for at the moment, Dire. If you're Team Cynic, you're definitely looking forward to going into the next match pretty strong. Because like you said, all they have to do is complete 4 generators. They don't have to worry about a 3-gen, so they can just complete generators as they please, work on whatever generator they want, and just kind of vibe, Dire. Yes, if you are Team Ariandel, you are definitely wanting to do something about this. This is looking like a bit of a drastic change in the pace of the match here. Swatter, it looks like he is going to be camped out, so this could be vital time to work on generators at the moment, and hope that you can make a win condition that is difficult to beat, because with the next match looking like all Team Cynic has to do is sit on whatever generator they find and not have to really plan out what generators need to be done to prevent a 3-gen. Things are not looking good. Osaka, you got to slow down, man. What was that flick? That was incredible. He hugged that rock like there was no tomorrow, Dire. That was such an impressive flick. I always am excited when I see Osaka on Blight. So I am really hoping that whoever is picking up Blight for Team Ariandel is looking to do just as incredible. Oh man, I think he ripped a little bit of X-Size's shirt there. I think he might need to go get a new one there. That was pretty close.
A little bit of back and forth here, but I absolutely agree, right? The player that is coming out from Ariandel in a second, they need to have confidence. They basically need to say, I pick the Blight. A little bit of a pun there towards Team Ariandel. Maybe And Babbo actually not playing right now as well. So both candidates for the killer role, iPick and Babbo, not playing Survivor at the moment. Gonna be interesting because Babbo, for example, played the Doctor trial himself. Maybe that is a little bit of a tactic switch here that they are going to take, that the killer can prepare mentally a little bit longer. But that is going to be the 4K on 2 generators standing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an incredible result from Osaka here, especially on this 1-1 that we have at the moment. Best game of the season so far, if you're asking me. It is a back and forth, it's a roller coaster, it's a lot of comeback plays, and it's unpredictable especially. This is what I really, really like to see. We do have a deliverance a little bit too early on the hook there. It does. He's going back, accepting the fate that is awaiting him. He just wanted to show off the deliverance that he had here. What a move by Axels. That was so fun. But yeah, we are definitely in a difficult situation here because, once again, we pointed it out during the trial, Cynic will be able to ignore any 3-gen that might spawn in the upcoming trial. And that is huge, right? Because a 4-gen, as we have seen for Osaka here, that he defended, is not guaranteed at all. A 3-gen on Suffocation Pit, yeah, that is going to work. That appears on both sides, next to Shack and next to main building. You can be confident about that. But the 4-gen is not guaranteed, and it's also not so easy to hold, right? Because at least one of the generators that is part of the 4-gen is pretty close to the midsection, so offering some safety basically for the survivors. It's not too far to the next tile. Ladies and gentlemen, since the Suffocation Pit is such a special map, we should take a look real quick on some important strategies, some important playstyles and facts that you should know about the Suffocation Pit before we hop into a little break afterwards. So,
welcome back, everybody, to set number 6. We are on the Blight with Bubbo playing the Blight right now. We just came back from Osaka, posting a monstrosity of a result on the Blight, and now Bubbo is responding in kind. He's got a lot on his shoulders, he's got a lot of pressure to deal with, and he needs to post 4K on 3 generators remaining, or Team Cynic needs to get 4 generators done. If you're asking me, Dyer, the survivors of Team Cynic can just sit on any generator they please and just finish it until 4 generators are completed. They don't have to strategize which ones get finished. They just need to sit on generators. That seems like it might be an easier thing to do than what Bubbo has to do in this match, Dyer. So going into this, Bubbo has to do something crazy here, and Bubbo is known for doing something crazy. So I'm hoping to see that we're going to have a chaotic match right now. Osaka, coming in from the last Blight set, you know, he did something incredible, 4K2ing the survivors of Team Ariandel at 2 generators remaining, and Bubbo now getting the first down at 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Here?
What is happening?
What is happening here, Team Cynic?
I'm not too
That is
certain.
a little bit, yeah, that is not what we want to see, Rob, right?
No.
Not after this Osaka trial. Angels taking a hit as well. Vancy already injured. We have, and we even have the gens spawn towards Cynic's favor here. We have somewhat of a 3-gen here next to the shack, and we have only somewhat of a 3-gen at the top side, if I'm not mistaken, because on the right side of the main building did not spawn a generator. So it is much easier for Cynic survivors to tackle this. It is not this disgusting 4-gen that we had in the previous trial, but they are not playing like they realize their advantage. They are playing like they are a little bit too confident and getting run over.
Yes, Dyer, that seems to be the case. Already 2 survivors going down and getting hooked. This is not really what you want to be doing as Team Cynic right now. You want to be making sure that you secure that win condition. It seems like a rather easy thing to do in their case, but something's happening, Dyer, with Team Cynic right now. Bubbo is going crazy right now, though. He understands the pressure. He understands what needs to be done, and he is currently delivering. If you ask me, Dyer, this is exactly what I thought would happen the moment that Bubbo knew that he had a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And that was so close, almost ripping Lusty's jacket there. But there we go. There comes the hit with Overcome coming in and getting some distance. Dyer, this is looking like a very, very rough start for Team Cynic, despite the win condition that they need to meet. It looks like we have Wancy on a generator, though, getting some progress done. Angel's taking a hit through the pallet, unfortunately.
Oh, God.
It looks like the ping from Russia to NA. It's just not working out too well for them at the moment. I saw some strange hits already this match, and also a very weird medium vault, despite lining up the fast vault. But this is not really the kind of start that you want to see for Team Cynic. They need to get 4 generators done, Dyer. It doesn't matter which. They just need to get them done. But you see Perks is on the hook, about to die in struggle phase right now. Lusty is currently down. Angels is down. Wancy is alone working on a generator. Dyer, they have to get these gens done, otherwise this is not going to be the win for them. Lusty does look like the Unbreakable is, or no, sorry, the plot twist. The plot twist came through. I didn't realize that he didn't go down to Bubbo's Blight there. That was something I didn't really catch with the heat of the moment coming through right there. Getting the unhook, though, wasn't able to body block it. So that's, you know, at least some pressure taken aback a little bit. But this is still not looking too good for Team Cynic at the moment, Dyer.
No, I would say seeing this situation at the moment and how Bubbo is slaughtering them on the suffocation pit, they can be more than happy if that 3rd generator gets completed and we are talking about a tie here, honestly. This is right now, I think, the best thing to aim for, because talking about a win just became impossible and it just got absolutely denied, and Bubbo just completely demolished Cynic on the suffocation pit. Sorry to word it like this, but we need to be realistic a little bit. That was demolishing.
There's no other way to put it, Dyer. That was demolishing, and you are absolutely correct about that. Now, when I said that Bubbo needed to do something crazy and he needed to do it now, this is... That's exactly what I meant, and Bubbo knows that he's nodding his head in agreement. Yeah. And that is exactly what I was expecting. Slugs coming out extremely early into the match. The first down coming in at 1 minute and 5 seconds. Dyer, this is not what Team Cynic wanted to see. The win condition wasn't terribly difficult for the Blight. All they had to do was sit on generators and get them done. It didn't matter which ones, didn't matter where. All they had to do was get generators done. And that seemed like it was impossible for them with the amount of pressure. And once again, Bubbo agrees. He's shaking his head and you know, no way. It's not happening under my Blight. Yes, that was definitely seeming impossible for Team Cynic to do once the pressure from Bubbo's Bone Buster Kane came in. That was definitely a hard thing to watch, honestly. But if you're a big Bubbo fan, absolutely incredible. Man, Team Cynic really had, you know, a win condition that they could meet, and seeing it fall from their hands was a bit hard to watch, Dyer.
Yeah, this is the second chance that Cynic drops, right? I feel like we exclude set 1 because Cynic won that, obviously, and there it has worked out. But when we look at the rest of how this best of 4 went so far, in the Doctor game, they prepared themselves for a very good game, and they prepared themselves for a very high chance of taking set point number 2 as well. Everything was looking good. And then the early game for the killer side absolutely fell apart, and they allowed Ariandel to become stronger than that. In the third set, the Blight, Osaka is setting them up for an absolute perfect win condition with high chances to make this possible, or at least take the tie. and unfortunately it fell apart, and these survivors are in a very difficult situation right now. So when we look at this 2 times now back to back, Cynic had a very high chance to be successful, and both times it slipped out of their hands. And this is why I think Ariandel has the best chances to take the win in the last set and walk away with a 3-1. Unfortunately, Cynic is not using the chance. As good as they are playing and getting themselves into a good spot where the chances are high, as well as they are doing in that regard, they are unfortunately not capitalizing on it.
Anyways, we are loading into our 4th set with the Nightmare, or Freddy Krueger, with Bubbo playing as the Fredward and finding himself in main building, dropping some dream pallets and getting some breakable walls out of the trial, releasing some dream snares, and it didn't seem like it hit. Everyone is still at about the same exact level of falling asleep. We didn't see the score event for the dream snares strike. So going to opt to leave that. Main building is a difficult place to play. I don't blame Bubbo one bit. There is a dream snare strike though, right onto Angels, finding in that next chase at Shack. And how is, oh, nice dodge to the left there. Didn't seem like Bubbo predicted that one. And yes, I am curious to see how this is going to play out. This is the 4th and final set. I am certain that both teams understand the amount of pressure that they both have on this last final set. Something is going to happen dire, and I think it's going to be absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, let's hope that the chaos doesn't unfold too quickly here, because we had a lot of chaos in the Blight trial on the survivor side of Cynic, so it seems like we are taking it a little bit slower, a little bit more careful, and we are working with way less injuries here. Speaking of injuries, I really like the sloppy that we have on that Dark Saloon. We see very often that the survivors are pulling away into the main building that is very strong. They're going for the resets there, and sloppy definitely punished them a little bit more for that strategy. Now we're going to see if that's going to be the down. That is indeed the case. We have a horrifying statistic in the background that just got broken, luckily, but the last time that we have seen Nightmare and Bubbo was when it was with Team Oracle, and that down came in after 7 minutes and 10 seconds because we had so many body blocks around the main building. I remember this trial actually. 7 minutes and 10 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. This time it was 1 minute 56. I would say that's a great improvement.
Absolutely fantastic improvement, I'd say. I would not want to be anywhere near that 7-minute mark for sure. If I was Bubbo, if I was myself, I also wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. But it looks like those same body blocks are not coming through, which is absolutely got to be very appreciated by Bubbo here. That seems like quite the nightmare to deal with. But yes, we are finding a fake teleport going in and hopefully scaring some survivors off their generators. And I gotta say, Dire, ever since Freddy's rework, I am noticing that a lot of survivors are opting to make sure that they stay awake as much as possible, because he is a lot more threatening now when you are asleep. With, you know, the projectile dream snares now being a thing instead of static dream snares, as well as the dream pallets being a little bit different than they used to be, now able to injure survivors within a blast radius. So yes, survivors are going to opt to stay awake much more than usual. Nice hit on that pallet onto Angels there, but with Ninny still in the basement, that's not going to be a chase. It's going to be continued. And as we see, a survivor is going into the basement here to get the unhook, that being Lusty. But the body block coming through on the stairs, this is a bit of a difficult situation for Ninny to get out of. But there's a body block right there. And Bubbo's got to be wanting to capitalize on this chase and get Ninny down and out of the match as quick as possible.
Next generator finding the completion here. 2 are done, but Nini, not Winnie, Winnie the Pooh and Nini the Downed are going to play for Team Cynic soon. Getting hooked into the corner of the Dead Dog Saloon here. That is usually a very nice hook location. Unfortunately, the survivor is dead, so we can no longer defend this area. But we often see this hook being used, so you can pinpoint these survivors back there and you can really make the rescue difficult. Generators are over here at the water tower. It is a pretty good 3-gen, I would say. Unfortunate is a little bit that the Gallows generator is upstairs, so you have to take a little bit of an extra mile there. But it could be worse. There could be a worse spread. I think Babbo is kind of okay with having the generator spread like this. Does go for the teleport. Checking if we have someone over here in the Gallows area. Doesn't locate anyone. So it seems to be quiet, but he is confident that the survivor is located over here on the generator. At least he thinks it's worth to give it a kick. Survivors went for a reset. We like to see that. They perfectly used the time that Babbo spent in the Gallows area. 75% over here. This generator should definitely find the completion. I feel like it is really about the next chase here. If the survivors can deliver a longer chase, they have a good chance breaking a couple of generators here and getting some meaningful progress. But if we have a quick down, we might actually get in trouble.
Freddy anti-loop with the teleport mechanic coming in. Bubba used that almost flawlessly as if it was meant to be in his kit. That was a really well timed teleport there right onto the generator and getting the hit onto Angels and through the pallet again. Once again showing how long Freddy's finger gloves are and getting hits very often. That's going to be the slug onto Angels. And he is going to opt to go around and find other survivors. When you're in a 3v1, getting slugs on the ground is likely the best time to do it at a 3v1. It's a lot stronger than against a 4v1. Unless you're Bubba on the Blight, that was pretty incredible coming in for the last match. But yes, now that we're down to the 3v1, Angels does get picked up, but the slug pressure is going to be very taxing on the survivors of Team Cynic here. You're going to want to make sure that you get survivors picked up as quickly as possible after Bubba leaves to go find other survivors to down and continue working these generators as much as possible. But Bubba has a game plan. He has a strategy going into this. You just know it. He almost always does, it seems like. So, yes, Angels and Wancy are both currently healthy. They're both awake, but not for much longer. Everyone's going to be asleep soon, except for Lusty. Lusty gets out of the dream state. He actually gets awakened there. So that's nice to see. And the other survivors are currently doing the same thing, as you can see. So very nice to see coming in from Team Cynic right now, responding very well to the pressure that Bubbo has. Playing it slowly. Very nice to see.
Yeah, playing it slowly is a good idea. I think they're also keeping it extra slow and extra chill after they have seen Bubbo's wrath being unleashed in the previous trial. The Blight, so they know how quickly Babbo can bring chases to an end, how good he is with judging a slug potential as well. Wancy taking the hit here. Our DBDLeague artist, who is involved in some of the killer and map renders that you see on screen. Quick side shout out there to Wancy. Lusty and Wancy now back to injury. So we might need to have another discussion on the survivor team if we want to pull back to the main building once again, taking the reset here. The difficulty with Sloppy is certainly that Babbo, each time the survivors are pulling away from the generators and taking time into the healing, he basically gets some free slowdown and some regression on the generators, right? So it would be understandable if at some points the survivors say, we are not going for the resets anymore because we have to prioritize the generators. But in that point, when you decide for that, you do take some risk for some downs. So, wow, beautiful. Angels getting the down here. That's going to be the quick teleport as well, going to spread the pressure here. We do see the reset being taken successful, but if he gets immediately back on these survivors and getting them into the chase, he completely denies the chance to get on any generator, and that is looking really promising.
You know, Dyer, these dream-powered explosions don't see the light of day very often, but today they definitely did. There's some sunshine in the dream state right now, and that's coming in from Bubba blowing up a pallet on Angels, and now the hook is coming through. Wow. I'm always excited to see a dream-powered explosion tagging a survivor, and it just did. That was phenomenal. I don't think the Angels was too much expecting that. That's going to be a basement hook, and that is a very easily defendable position for Bubbo here. There's some generators around with some decent progress, so this is looking very difficult for the survivors of Team Cynic to handle with right now. Sloppy Butcher is putting in a lot of work for the team, for the survivors of Team Cynic to deal with, because as a 3v1, there is not a whole lot you can do besides make sure you're all healed, and that's coming in slowly because of Sloppy Butcher. That being said, everyone is currently healthy, or they were anyways. Wancy taking a hit here at the pallet. That's going to be another longer reset for Wancy. The unhook is coming through in the basement, it looks like. Lusty getting the save onto Wancy here, or onto Angels, I mean, in the basement. No trade happening just yet, but it came in a little bit. You know, the injured did come in a little bit early into that, so Lusty wasn't able to make it super far away. But any second bot for your team is a second spent on pressuring towards the win condition, Dyer. So Cynic is in a position where they need to focus on getting things done. These generators don't have a whole lot of progress on them right now, Dyer. So there's a bit of a difficult thing to deal with here if you're Team Cynic.
Yeah, and a 4K on 2 gens on a Freddy just cannot happen, right? Telling Ariandel in the situation where we are right now, with them being a set point ahead, with them having the momentum, with them now playing also a good killer trial, telling them you can ignore a 3-gen on and against the Freddy, that is not going to work out at all. I feel like we definitely need generator number 4, regardless of how much risk it takes or what it costs to sacrifice. We need that 4th generator, because a 3-gen is possible to hold on Dead Dog Saloon, right? We have difficult 3-gens spawning in the houses section. We have difficult 3-gens spawning around the water tower or the windmill. We have difficult 3-gens possible here in the gallows area that can be very empty after a couple of chases, but a 3-gen that can be ignored just shouldn't happen. So we need to make something happen here, but we see it wonderfully right here. Vancy needs to be rescued. Lusty is in chase. Angels has to go for the rescue. There's just never the chance to progress these generators. Babbo doesn't give them any chance, and he doesn't even give them a chance to rescue. This is over, Rob.
This is definitely looking over, Dyer. Angels the last chase of the match, unless something can happen here, and that's the down. That is a win condition that I feel like is going to be difficult for Team Cynic to overcome. No pun intended. And there goes the hook onto Angels right here, and Leslie's still off in the distance. I imagine is going to be picked up and put on a hook. There's a bit of a bleed out timer left, so yes, not too much of a chance to do anything about this at this stage. This is looking pretty over for Team Cynic, but there's still one more match to be played. They can potentially do something. Team Cynic has been making comebacks all day, and even if they haven't all landed exactly, they were putting up one serious fight, Dyer, and I'm hoping that they can come back with some serious heat in the next match, because they've been putting in a lot of work, and I'm hoping to see that it isn't all for nothing, Dyer.
Hopefully, yeah. All the Americans have to, I don't know, build up their shrines and send a prayer for that last trial that we have ahead of us, because this is going to be a very difficult and challenging trial that we have ahead of us. Ariandel will be able to ignore a 3-gen. They only need to repair 4 generators. Of course, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we can have that. Swatter, iPick, Excise, and LeMagic responsible for the result on the survivor side here. Babbo once again just delivering, but then watching the Survivor squad taking it home. Hopefully that's going to work out. 4 gens to do.
Yes, Dyer, that is the win condition. That is going to be difficult to do, in my opinion. But once again, always nice to see that new characters are being played further into Season X, that being Jeff and David. We've already had Laurie Strode today, and then we've had Hattie Core. So it's nice to see that things are continuing to be progressed, and further debuts are being made with new Survivor characters. Now, the first chase is coming on to iPick, already asleep. Not going to be something you want to have happen, but it's going to happen no matter what when you're playing against a Freddy. So there's the first hit going on to iPick, playing David for the first time in Season X, making it over to Shaq, but not without a Dream Snare being tagged. And that's Shaq Pallet coming down very quickly into the match. If you're a public player, you might be a bit upset about that, but this is competitive DBD. These things happen because ultimately preventing the early game pressure is more important than saving Shaq Pallet at 5 generators. So iPick finding himself out here on a substantially weaker loop than most on this map, but there goes 1 generator and there goes the first down, equally coming in at roughly the same time. And the first down of the match comes in at 1 minute and 40 seconds.
1 minute 40 seconds is a good result on the Freddy. It's kind of equal to what we have seen in the previous trial, so there's no disadvantage for Team Cynic yet, and nothing that Angels needs to be too worried about. We do hear the progress in the main building next to the street there as well, so Survivors getting the pressure a little bit denied here because they have iPick hooked right next to it now, but we're keeping it safe. Survivor waiting at the corner of the upstairs main building here, taking the vault early in order to not hand out an unnecessary injury, but Angels is going for the tunnel out here. Target seems to be clear. We want to go into the 3v1 scenario, and I honestly think if you want to get a 4K with the generators remaining, especially with 2 generators remaining, which wouldn't even be enough, right? We actually need 3 generators still standing at the end, because otherwise Ariandel is coming out at the winner here. You will need a quick elimination. Otherwise, you realistically cannot achieve this result, except you're going for an absolute slugfest.
Yes, Dyer, and with Team Ariandel playing this main building flawlessly like it looks like they are, taking a tag on the swatter actually, still working the gen with the Nightmare right there next to the generator. Maybe not the best decision making right there, but either way, the tunnel out is not being progressed at the moment. Yes, with Team Ariandel playing the main building quite well, it's going to be difficult to make a tunnel out happen very quickly. It looks like LeMagic is going to take a hit here. The mind game came out pretty well on the favor of Angels there, but this is not the tunnel out Survivor. Not a massive amount of value on this. You want the tunnel out to happen very quickly in order to secure this down. Ooh, that was a very close swing right there. Another generator gets stunned. Oh, wow. Angels just kind of steps over the hay bale right next to the pallet and says, "Excuse me, I need this down." And it looks like we're also making a good decision here and waking up very frequently. That being said, Freddy's still coming in and interrupting this heal here on the main building. The tunnel out Survivor is now going to be split evenly between LeMagic and iPick here. So it can go either way, depending on who Angels wants to chase after. If you ask me, LeMagic's a bit of an easier target since they're already injured, but I've got to say, unless Team Ariandel makes a mistake here, this might be a bit difficult to capitalize on. That being said, without tunneling out a Survivor sooner into the match, but things can go either way with both these teams playing. They're both playing very well tonight, so it's up to what happens with the decision making in this match, Dyer.
LeMagic going down is a very needed pressure. But look at these generators, the Survivors just working non-stop and with no mercy on the objectives. They are not giving any extra second towards Angels here. Exa is dropping early towards safety, has this pallet here. Now vaults it and into the life to take some distance here. Survivor team keeps it safe, and that is the decision, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that is just the tie for the moment, but since Ariandel is on a 2-1, it is not going to be a tie anymore, and Cynic definitely is the losing team here. Ariandel taking 3 points home. Cynic unfortunately not getting any for the standings. The only question is now, will Cynic be able to keep it on a tie, which would be a little bit of a damage to Ariandel's set win percentage and a little bit better towards Cynic's own standings as well? Or is Ariandel taking it home and improving their set win percentage? This is the only remaining thing these two teams are playing for now, because the winner has now been decided.
Yes, and Xi is standing up on top of the gallows without even budging, not allowing Angels to intimidate him on the gallows, and making sure to drop down only when it is definite that Angels is coming up there to chase him down. That being said, I really do think that it is imperative that Angels makes this happen and leaves this at a tie and doesn't allow this to progress any further. If they were able to damage Ariandel's set win average, this would be great for Team Cynic. Either way, I do think that Cynic has played very well. Oh, there's the fourth generator. That is not good. Team Ariandel is looking like they're going to take the win for this set as well, not a tie. This is a 3-1 for Team Ariandel against Cynic. Well played to both teams. The match is not over, though. We are hoping that Cynic and Ariandel are both playing to get the best result possible. And there's still a match to be played. There's still some great plays to be had. So, not getting the short swing through the pallet stun. The pallet stun not even coming through. But, yes, this is looking a little bit like a difficult situation for Team Cynic to be in. But either way, there goes the fifth generator, Dyer. They made all 5 generators happen. And with that last set being a 4K2, and now Team Ariandel meeting that and saying, nope, we're going to do all 5 generators against your Freddy. That is not what you want to see as Team Cynic. Wow.
That is difficult indeed, yeah, because this is now really clear, and I feel bad for Cynic here. They played such a wonderful first set, and they played also strong on the other sets, right? I feel like the 3-1 doesn't even reflect how Cynic looked today. Because if you see a 3-1, you could say, okay, they took one set, oh, nice, and then they got clapped 3 times. But this isn't what happened. They played really well. They showed us some nice strategies, some nice plans, some nice recoveries. The problem is just that always one side didn't work out. The Blight worked out as killer perfectly. The Survivor side didn't work out at all.